all these things that we're putting in now with the suggestion would eliminate a lot of that, because now you can't fake it. You have to commit to this hard work and this path because there's no way around it. You're required to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? This is BC. Now, I'm going to do a video today on why I believe in all industries, but especially in real estate, door knocking and cold calling should be required and should be a rite of passage for people. Now, hear me out. Okay, I know this is going to be controversial. Well, Bryan, it's 2023, 2024, nobody does that anymore, or I don't want to do it, and well, I can just do social media and I can dance on TikTok and all this stuff people are going to say. Look, I get it. I'm not saying people have to do that forever, but hear me out here. I think it should be required for many reasons. Okay. Number one is this. When somebody comes into the industry, right, they know this, but it's funny how this gets lost somehow. We know this is a people business and this is a sales business, period, point blank. Like, you can't get around that, right? Meaning we're going to relate to other people. It's relationship based. We're going to be dealing with our clients and other people for sure. Like, we know this, but it's also like, let's not twist this thing. It's a sales industry and there's only one person who's going to win. There's a million agents who want to work with that one client, and that client's going to pick one agent, right? And we have to sell. We have to sell ourselves. We have to sell our services, our brokerage and all that stuff. Everything we do on social media, all the fancy luxury tours and all that, we're literally selling ourselves and our brand. So let's not kid about this thing, okay? So I'm saying that as the first thing because what better way, and again, I want to hear your thoughts too. What better way to teach somebody real people skills than to have them talk to a lot of people every day? Now, we can go back and forth on how long this would be required. But imagine, right? We have an industry full of people, like in real estate especially, who suck with people. Let's be real about it. They're not good. They don't have good conversations. They struggle to get people's information. They struggle to have a conversation with them. They can't even get past the opening of a door knock or an open house or a cold call. I mean, unless it's handed to them, right? They struggle, right? And I get questions from agents all the time, even my students, right? Thousands of emails and all this stuff. But that is one of many things that I recommend to people is, hey, get out there and get beat up, in quotes. Get rejected, right? Learn, because you're committed to this process. I'm going to have to learn how to overcome these objections. I'm going to have to learn how to start a conversation smoothly and let somebody's guard down and build trust and get them to actually want to engage with me and answer the next question. Like, this is a skill set that has to be developed. Think about like all the situations where maybe an agent will delay calling a client to give them bad news because they're uncomfortable socially, because they don't want to deal with the pressure of the situation. Well, if somebody hasn't been built and bred to deal with it, guess what? They're going to avoid it. But all that does is it makes the experience worse for the client and makes the experience, especially emotionally, worse for the agent. And overall, it's a bad thing. Why? Because the person wasn't prepared from a social skills and dynamic standpoint. And door knocking and cold calling will teach you that if you're forced to do it. Right? And the reason I'm saying forced or required is because if we don't, people will continue making excuses. And I know a lot of you watching this, we've had conversations and you tell me the stories and excuses, and you know their stories and excuses. We do that for everything, but especially for this. Why? Because it's not the easy way. And you've been sold incorrectly that there's an easier way when there isn't. Because even if I buy leads or do social media, again, when I have to talk to the person and deal with them, if I don't have the skill set, I don't have the people skills, I don't have the communication skills, I don't have that traditional foundational, basics and fundamentals in place, I'm not going to do any business. You're going to have them slip through your fingers. They're going to go somewhere else, because even if somebody gets handed to me on a silver platter, they know right away, especially if they're motivated to buy or sell or invest, and they're dealing with you, let's say this random person, and you don't have the skills, you don't seem like a professional or expert, they're not going to stay with you. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to be like, dude, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And one of the easiest and first indicators of that is how you communicate with people. Which is why I always go back and tell people, if you want a leg up in this industry and you don't have all the experience that other people do and the track record and all the resume that they have, become a just top-notch communicator, man. And when you do that, people will stop questioning your expertise, because you move and sound like and talk like somebody who is an expert. So they're not going to question it. They only question it if they think or they see an indicator that you're not, right? That's one reason, right? Number two is I think it'll give people a reality of the business. that this business isn't easy. It's not like the TV shows. It's not going to get handed to you, and that you're going to have to earn it. And you're going to have to roll your sleeves up and do some traditional hard work in the business world. Like, we're not doing manual labor here, but come on, man. Did people really think it's just about making a YouTube video or a reel and suddenly, clients are falling into your lap? So this would give people a tough, harsh, real, cold and honest truth on the business. You're gonna have to show up to your office or even from your home office and either get on the phones, get on the doors, right? Talk to people and create your own opportunities. And this is what it does, is it fosters that proper mentality and it teaches people how to create their own opportunities. And I'm a huge advocate for that. This is why I think my students are so good. And once they come to me, they're very, self-reliant, right? They can duplicate and replicate and grow their businesses and scale because they're built on the right foundation. Now, anything they add is just the cherry on top, but they're self-sustaining, right? I can drop them in any market anywhere in the world, and they'll be able to start from the ground up or build it up or continue doing what they were doing if they go back to the same city. But this will eliminate a lot of what the public complains about. Oh, these rookie agents, these amateur agents are not doing this. If we forced everybody to cold call and door knock, man, it would weed out probably 90% of them. You know how many people, when I started, and I didn't get this right away, but once I started showing people, hey, I'm getting awards, I'm getting checks, I'm selling houses, a lot of people from my past approached me, oh, bro, it looks like you're doing really well in real estate. Can I tell me what you're doing? And once I told them and gave them a copy of my schedule and what I was doing, they wouldn't say, oh, forget it. They would run for the hills. They would literally run away because they're like, oh man, like that's hard work. I'm like, what did you think I was doing, dude? Did you think I just put on a suit and posted a picture and right? So that cold, hard truth reality, again, will weed out the weak or the people who are not committed. And then the people who stick with it and who join now are willingly knowing what they're getting into, and they're not being sold this lie or this fluff. Because getting good at, interpersonal communication, men to women, women to men, and just building that social dynamic skill set takes time. It's a muscle that has to be exercised regularly. And it's a muscle that takes a lot of time, money, resources, training to build. And you develop in the process. That's ultimately the number one thing that develops is you. Because that would be my third point, is now in this industry, we're breeding stronger character and stronger individuals, better communicators, better representatives of their communities, right? People that are more well-spoken, right? People that understand something about human psychology, right? And people who now have real life experience. So now when they deal with people, it's easier for them to empathize. It's easier for them to put their best foot forward and be real with people. It's easier for them not to be, these shady type of agents that people complain about that only put their self-interest first. When you deal with a lot of people, like through interactions and experience, you build these things. You learn how to be compassionate and empathetic, right? You know and have experienced enough with people to say, hey, I'm not going to screw this person over, even though I need to get this check to pay my rent. It's not about me, it's about them. And you learn a lot of these things in this process, which I think is a great third point why I would force this to happen. Because otherwise, right, we're no different than what we see out there, the average person who puts, this fake mask on and if they can screw somebody over, sometimes they will. And again, we complain, the public does, and we do as agents about that in the industry. Well, if you put some of these things in place, we might not, eliminate that entirely, but we're going to eliminate a large portion of it. Because it's those weasels that come in that are like, oh, I can do very little and gain a lot, right? All these things that we're putting in now with this suggestion would eliminate a lot of that. Because now you can't fake it. You have to commit to this hard work and this path because there's no way around it. You're required to do so, right? So those are 3 points, right? And lastly, because looking at this thing from the outside now, right, having done it myself, trained a ton of people, taken them through it, right? I can say that forcing that would also raise the bar in the industry overall. We would attract a different type of person to the industry, right? We would probably get a lot less people trying to get their license, right? And I really think it would help change the image of the real estate agent. Because on one end, people are going to say, well, we hate the cold callers and door knockers. Look, I get that, right? Look, I'm not telling people to go out and door knock at 5 a.m. and do all this crazy stuff, right? But for the most part, most interactions I had with people were positive. So the vast majority of the public isn't saying that. That's just the internet trolls that complain about everything. Most people out there don't complain that somebody calls them or knocks. There's a few and a small percentage of people that get angry and say, no, they shouldn't do that, right? But it's going to improve and raise the bar of the quality of person that we attract into the industry, which will then help with the public perception, help with agent to agent activities. And overall, I think it would be beneficial for the industry 100%. Because looking at this thing from the outside and the way society is right now and how things are going, it's like barriers are being taken down and we're making things too easy. We need to do the opposite because we're seeing the net effect of that. By softening things up and making things easier, all it's doing is just destroying standards, right? Limiting production. It hasn't done any good. And if it has done any good, it's been, very little. Questionable, right? Marginal, if anything. So those are 4 points, right? I could go on and on. I don't want to make it too long, but I really believe, right? I really believe. Now, let me know in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Because I get it, right? Some people don't want to do this, and most of the arguments against this are emotional. But I really think overall, it would be beneficial for the industry, for the individual. Maybe it would steer away people who shouldn't get into real estate, and that's a good thing because then they wouldn't waste their time, right? But overall, I think it's something that's very positive. Okay, so I just wanted to wrap up the video here. I appreciate you guys watching. If you haven't been checking out my lives, I'm going live pretty much every evening now, most weekdays and sometimes on the weekends on YouTube on this channel at 6 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys want to come in, I'm bringing live people on the calls. We're also running some specials now. A couple quick announcements. I will be announcing a event the first week of January that I'm probably going to stream, but also have in person here in Miami. I'm doing another three-day challenge, 4-day communication challenge the last week of December, the day after Christmas, 26th until the 29th. And also we're running a special right now for the new program I released, the Real Estate Agagi. If you join the Agagi, you'll get that communication event for free, right? But we had a ton of people join last month. I'm really pushing to get another 50, 60 members this month as well. It's a very low barrier, cheap type of bare bones, fundamental type of coaching program that I created for salespeople and also people in real estate. And I really would recommend all of you get on because it's jam-packed, it's helpful, and it's affordable, which is the main reason. Distinguished agent and everything else that I do is high ticket. I would recommend you get on it if you can, but if money's the issue, get on Distinguished Agent. Do yourself a favor, invest in yourself and your business, and you will grow. Okay, all the other links are in the description. Check them out. That's it for this one, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.